welcome to Nationwide, reaching you on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. You can follow us online on nca.ng/live and other handles displayed on the screen for updates. President Tinubu is in a meeting with the former agitator for the cause of Niger Delta, Asari Dokubo, at the presidential villa. Details will be brought to you in the course of the bulletin or in subsequent news updates. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has urged members of the 10th Senate to close ranks and work with commitment to ensure delivery of good governance by the present administration. He was speaking at a gathering of some lawmakers to celebrate the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. After much lobbying, mobilization and consultation by the Stability Group that pushed for the emergence of Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Barrow Jibrin as presiding officers of the 10th Senate, it was time to celebrate. This gathering affords the senators another opportunity to establish friendship as partners in providing service to the nation in the next 4 years.
Continue to build bridges across River Benue, across River Niger. Now we have the Niger Bridge, second Niger Bridge. Cross it and come to my state. Like you have honored us today. You have honored myself and my brother, Senator Barrow Jibrin. We will also honor you.
Engagement will be based on understanding orders. Will be based on the rules of the Senate. So nobody will be discriminated.
The Stability Group thanked all those that contributed ideas and resources to achieve its goals.
Historic moment which our Senate President has become the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Despite all obstacles and setbacks, we were able to achieve this very important development. And this development is for the peace and security of Nigeria.
Spouses of the lawmakers and some distinguished Nigerians were part of the event. Lami Ali. The present administration has been advised to reconnect democracy with development to earn the people's trust, reduce tension and agitations in the country. This is coming from former INEC National Commissioner, Professor Okechukwu Ibanu, in his lead paper at the 2023 Democracy Day lecture titled Democracy and the State of the Nation Towards Agenda Setting. John Yaku reports that it was organized by the National Institute.
Tied around lack of ideology of national unity, petroleum-dependent economy and 40 issues in the electoral processes. To reconnect democracy with development, Professor Ibanu believes that the quality of work and reward, quality of participation in politics and strengthening of institutions are needed.
Until we get to the roots of the inability of our democracy to deliver development, then we are not likely to solve the problems of the country.
Other stakeholders at the lecture harped on addressing issues associated with election management in Nigeria, state of the nation, challenges of federalism and national security.
The truth is that we are a country, we are not yet a nation. A nation will have a set of shared core values that binds all the different components together.
They called for action plan for gender mainstreaming and political inclusivity in Nigeria.
Encourage the political parties to bring up women and then let the women that find themselves in office build their capacity.
The National Assembly and other stakeholders commend the lecture as they believe information sharing at such fora will help in deepening the nation's democracy.
We must continue to focus on the economic growth, poverty alleviation, and increase democratic participation to restore our people's faith.
In fora as such as this, it's vital to take stock and draw lesson for the progress of our country, Nigeria.
The democratic political process is not an event, not at all. It's a process, and because it's a process, it has to actually gather steam.
The Needs Democracy Day lecture, which started in 2022, is the second in the series. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns that countries must phase out coal and other fossil fuels to avert climate catastrophe. He called for immediate global action towards net zero emissions, which must start with the pollutant heart of the climate crisis, the fossil fuel industry. NTA Fanface reports.
In a meeting with civil society climate leaders from across the world, Guterres said limiting global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius is still possible, but will require a 45% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030. Current policies, he says, will lead to a 2.8 degrees Celsius temperature rise by the end of the century, which spells catastrophe.
Fossil fuel companies must also cease and desist influence peddling and legal threats designed to kneecap progress. I'm thinking particularly of recent attempts to subvert net zero alliances invoking antitrust legislations.
Guterres stressed that the fossil fuel industry should apply its massive resources to drive, not obstruct, the global transition to renewable energy. He wants fossil fuel companies to present credible, comprehensive and detailed new transition plans that include reducing emissions up and down the value chain, from production through to refining, distribution and use.
Governments are pivotal in setting the record straight. They must help by providing clear reassurance. Collective climate action does not violate antitrust, it upholds the public trust. At the same time, financial institutions must encourage this transformation of the fossil fuel industry.
The UN chief has previously proposed establishing a climate solidarity pact under which rich nations would support emerging economies with cutting emissions. Another proposal for an acceleration agenda calls on governments to phase out coal by 2040, end public and private international coal funding, and shift subsidies from fossil fuels to renewables, among other measures. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Now, moving from a crude to blue economy is an economic evolution Nigeria must tap into in its quest for economic diversification. Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Bashir Jamu, said this as the June edition of the Lunchtime Reform Seminar organized by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms in Abuja. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday has the story.
The blue economy refers to the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth to improve livelihoods and create jobs while preserving the health of ocean ecosystem. The future, observers say, lies in the blue economy, with Nigeria having a coastline boundary with the Atlantic Ocean from Badagry to Bakassi. The world is working hard to phase out the fossil fuel industry, and Nigeria must be aware of the danger ahead.
The issue of fishing used to be the second largest that provide income for the Nigerian economy. Now today everything, oil and gas, thrown them away. And now we're going back to square one. The oil and gas is becoming zero. When you look at our oil quota is 1.8 million barrels per day. Now we are getting to about 900, only half.
We have clearly seen today there's an alternative to providing employment, generate more money, and in the spirit of the New Hope agenda, to improve the GDP of Nigeria by accepting and embracing the blue economy.
Pollution arising from plastic wastes, security and safety are some areas of concerns raised by participants.
The seafarers have no issue on that anymore. They move within the water territory without any icing or plastic disturbances on the sea anymore.
The forum pointed the need for the provision of adequate and high quality infrastructure, good governance and institutional reforms as crucial towards maximizing the blue economy. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
The ECOWAS Disaster Operations Center has come on stream. Domiciled as the ECOWAS Commission Department of Humanitarian and Social Affairs, the center is to assist member states on disaster risk and reduction. Kelvin Ewunwai reports.
The Disaster Operations Center is a product of intense work involving the AU Commission, United Nations and ECOWAS agencies on climate change and environment. It is to coordinate all risk reduction activities, working closely with relevant agencies in member states. This is a step further in helping member states mitigate climate change impact.
We in West Africa have been on the front lines confronting various hazards that have escalated into calamities, ranging from extreme weather conditions to infectious disease like Ebola and COVID-19. The ripple effects of this disaster have had an adverse impact on our economies and most critically our people.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is delighted and expressed commitment to work closely with the center to set a template for regional operations. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewunwaye, NTA News.
The Police Service Commission at its 21st plenary meeting has approved the appointments of AIGs Bala Chiroma and Frank Mba as Deputy Inspectors General of Police. A statement by the spokesperson of the Commission, Ike Chukwani, indicates that DIG Chiroma will replace DIG Alijanga, who has retired from service and had represented the Northeast Geopolitical Zone in the police management team, while DIG Mba will represent the Southeast Zone, replacing retired DIG John Amadi, who before his retirement represented the zone. The Commission also approved the promotion of 14 Commissioners of Police to the next rank of Assistant Inspectors General of Police and 22 Deputy Commissioners of Police to the substantive rank of Commissioners. Similarly, the Commission also approved the promotion of 24 Assistant Commissioners of Police and 39 Chief Superintendents of Police to their next ranks. Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Solomon Arase, congratulated the newly promoted officers and charged them to reciprocate the Commission's gesture by rededicating themselves to the service of their fatherland. We join Adeola Kamiakere in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Adeola. It's good to see you.
Ami, good to see you too. In exercising one of its core mandates, which amplifies the importance of destroying seized items to serve as warning to erring importers and smugglers, the Nigeria Customs Service has destroyed 96 containers of illicit pharmaceutical products and other goods worth 13 billion naira. Michael Olaleye reports.
There are various layers of checks in the quest to guard against unwholesome impulse, which could put public health and safety under serious threats. The contents of these 96 containers fall under such danger list as items such as tramadol, codeine syrup, black opera, among others, were confiscated by the customs courtesy of its robust surveillance measures. The destruction of the consignment valued at 13 billion naira was activated by certain rule of engagements.
The aforementioned items have all been condemned by courts of competent jurisdiction. As you all know, the harmful effect of these illicit items on our society cannot be overemphasized, as it has destroyed countless lives of our youth, families, and led to upsurge in crime in our society.
With this singular act, the customs is hoping this will complement its efforts at stamping out smuggling.
Through this destruction, we are discouraging the importation and consumption of these items.
Since customs duty is shared responsibility, the ACG Enforcement, Inspection and Investigation commended the NDLEA, NAFDAC and other agencies with the optimism that many wins will be achieved through collaboration. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
More exhibits have been tendered and admitted before Justice Oyedamola Ogala of Lagos State High Court, Ikeja, in the matter of late Whitney Adeniro, student of Chrisland School, who died at Agege Stadium on the 9th of February 2023 during an inter-house sports competition. Amaka Owo witnessed the proceedings and now reports.
During an intense cross-examination by the 4th Defense Counsel Ademola Animashaun, who inquired from the witness how much he paid the family pathologist Dr. Samuel Keshiru, who he also disputed was not a family pathologist but a pathologist with the Nigeria Police Force and a senior superintendent of police. He sought the permission of the court to use ICT to play an audio recording which was uploaded online on the 10th of February. The Director of Public Prosecution, Babajide Martins, objected, requesting that the exhibits be tendered and admitted before the court. The Defense Counsel also alleged that the witness said his daughter was healthy without any ailment, but according to his testimony, he said the witness stated that he took his daughter to one inland hospital on the 20th of January 2023, where prescription of drugs, which are nitrazepam and amitriptyline, were prescribed by one Dr. Festus Tai. He said he's in doubt if explanations of the harmful effects of the drugs were made to the parents of the deceased. He said the 4th defendant, likewise the 2nd and 3rd, did nothing wrong other than that they dutifully took the deceased to the hospital and stayed till her corpse was taken away. The first prosecution witness and father of the deceased, Michael Adeniro, identified the voice in the recorded audio played before the court to be his. He told the court that his deceased daughter was not conveyed in an ambulance to a proper hospital for prompt medical attention. He stated emphatically that his daughter was hale and healthy before the unfortunate incident. The case was adjourned till the 12th and 19th of October, 16th and 30th of November 2023. In Lagos, Amaka Owo, NTA News.
And that's it from here. We will take a break now. Nationwide will continue with Salamatu in Kaduna when we return. But before then, do not forget that you can follow this broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. To stay with us.
To Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm glad to have you join us here in Kaduna. Jigawa State government moves to reposition the state contributory pension scheme to effect some changes that will enhance its administration for the benefit of retirees in the state. Muhammad Musa Askira reports that 32-man committee was inaugurated and recommendations are expected within 30 days. His report.
Chaired by the state's former head of civil service, Mustafa Aminu, will be assisted by the current head of civil service, Hussein Ali Kila, permanent secretaries, and former executive secretaries of the scheme. Given the caliber and integrity of the chairman and the members on the committee, the Jigawa State Deputy Governor Aminu Usman Yakub noted that the committee will come up with new ideas on pensions global-based practice for implementation in the state.
This is evident in the prompt payment of retirement and death benefits to civil servants. It is worth of mention that many states come to see and copy our system of pension operation.
While expressing his gratitude to the government for finding them worthy for the appointments, Mustafa Aminu assured the deputy governor of the committee's unflinching commitments to do the needful.
We have no other state than Jigawa, and it has stood for us throughout. We will do our best to vindicate the trust reposed on us by government.
The Jigawa State model of the contributory pension scheme has been acclaimed to be one of the best in the country, where civil servants contribute 8% of their salaries and the state contributes 17% of the beneficiary salaries to the scheme monthly. This has enabled Jigawa State to have a seamless pension administration with prompt payments of retirement and death benefits. From Duty, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Towards fulfilling its promise of zero tolerance to corruption, crime, and criminalities, Kano State Police Command has arrested 12 illegal immigrants who attempted to alter their identity. Elizabeth Yila reports that among the 45 suspects paraded, the command also arrested a suspected kidnapper who framed his kidnapping.
Apprehended by the Kano State Police Command within the last 2 weeks were arrested for armed robbery, with 41 mobile phones and weapons recovered from them. A 19-year-old suspect was also arrested for allegedly staging his own kidnapping and demand for ransom. A suspect was also arrested for mobile phone theft, with 5 phones recovered, and another syndicate of mobile phone armed robbers were also arrested. In addition, the command also arrested 12 persons from Mali and Niger, deported from Saudi Arabia, staying illegally in Kano.
Acting on credible intelligence, the police smashed a racket of 12 persons consisting of 7 Malians and 5 Nigerian national deportees from Saudi Arabia, who were discovered being camped in a house located at Otoro and Dodo quarters in Kano metropolis while nursing wounds after having altered their finger thumbs. This razor blade with the view of changing their biological fingerprints in order to evade detection by Saudi Arabian authorities.
The Commissioner of Police, Hussein Mohammed Gumel, assures that the command will continue to redouble their efforts and remain steadfast in fighting crime and criminality in the state. In Kano, Elizabeth Yila, NTA News.
And Elizabeth Yela's report completes our package from here. Lami will take over from here.
Lamatu. Now, reports just reaching us says that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, greatly welcomes the authorities in the country's decision to introduce a unified market reflective exchange rate regime. This, it said, is in line with the fund's long-standing recommendations. The IMF, in a statement, affirmed it stands ready to support the new administration in its implementation of forex reforms. The 16th of June annually remains the Day of the African Child, which is set aside to commemorate and explore ways to better the lot of children in Africa. This year is no different, with the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs bringing together school children to interface. Memso Damien Dati has the details.
Government support the children whenever you do not have mother or father. Every child should have the right to education because education is considered as the #1 most priority of every child.
The rights of an African child include right to privacy, right to safety and protection, right to accessing good information.
Girls should be given the right to go to school. They should be educated. Today, I need children to know that we need to protect ourselves no matter what. We can't just be identifying with everybody online so that we can survive, because it's not a good world we are living in right now.
Children from the nooks and crannies of Abuja coming under one umbrella to commemorate Day of the African Child.
Parents, teachers, adults can begin to sensitize these children, talk to them about the evil that bad exposure can do to their lives, to their education. In fact, some children commit suicide from interacting with bad content, with bad people, making bad friends on Facebook and all of that. The Child Rights Act has been passed, and then the Data Protection Act has also been passed into law. We need active participation of all the stakeholders in implementing and ensuring that we enforce those laws.
The Day of the African Child is celebrated in memory of the 1976 student uprising in protest against the poor quality of education they received and demanded to be taught in their language. Quality and access to education and safety of learning remains to be a challenge even after 50 years of the Soweto uprising.
Sean Vices. The world is becoming more complex. Technology is becoming the order of the day, and nations are going digital. African children must not be left out. Hence the choice of this year's theme.
Whereby every African child should be
having knowledge at least of digital system. Even if it means the child should just only operate his computer and try to get some information that will help him or her through his academic development.
Momso Damien Ati, NTA News.
The United Nations Department for Disaster Risk Reduction is optimistic that with continued capacity building of the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA on disaster risk reduction, more resilience among the people would have been built to tackle the menace of flooding. Special representative of the UN Secretary General on Disaster Risk Reduction, Mami Mizutori, stated this when she led the UN team to the headquarters of NEMA to further strengthen collaboration with the agency. Ilyasu Aliyakubu reports.
Since 2015, the United Nations initiated the Disaster Risk Reduction Mechanism with the sole aim of preventing disasters before they occur. The initiative has an achievable target from 2015 to 2030. To this end, countries across the globe have been making frantic efforts to change the narrative. This meeting between NEMA and the UN Department for Disaster Risk Reduction is to work out modalities to mainstream the strategies of disaster risk reduction mechanisms that will see to the actualization of maximally reducing the risks of disasters before their occurrence. The UN representative promised to work closely with NEMA in capacity building and provision of other technicalities that will build resilience among the Nigerian populace.
Risk is everybody's business, and it's a whole of society approach that can work.
Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, said the agency has been working round the clock to ensure that the risk of disasters is reduced to minimum level through the adherence of disaster risk reduction mechanism.
The federal government of Nigeria has made appreciable efforts to implement the Sendai framework for DRR 2030. Exclusive of 4 priority areas and 7 targets.
He said the federal government has already set up a presidential committee to develop a comprehensive plan of action for preventing flooding and other related disasters in the country. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
As the dawn of a new era, the Federal Fire Service is fast moving with global trend of dealing with incessant fire outbreaks across residential and commercial premises. As 15 fire respondent trucks arrived the nation's capital, Abuja, ahead of deployments to contain disaster, Abubakar Akwanga reports.
The renewed hope mantra of the current administration seems to be yielding positive results on operation of the Federal Fire Service. These are some of the evidence on ground: 15 fire trucks and a control room to track distress locations for swift action. And a visit by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Dr. Oluwatoyin Akinlade, is to keep hope alive for better days ahead, as she gave a nod to some of the feats achieved.
To do what is given, what is expected. Life is dynamic. If you want to make continuous progress, at each interface you meet certain challenges, but we're not afraid of challenges, because they're just there for us to overcome.
In the last 8 years, the service has moved from a moribund agency of government to what can now be described as one of the leading agencies through procurement of state-of-the-art firefighting equipment.
Now, training of personnel to strengthen professional capacity towards ensuring seamless operations will be top-notch in the coming days. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Now, in recognition of the roles of the media in shaping national values, the National Human Rights Commission has engaged media executives on the need to counter and report hate speech. Omenka Amarachku completes the report.
In recent times, issues on hate speech has been a source of worry to Nigeria and the world over. Recognizing the challenges of hate speech and its negative impacts on the society informed this gathering of media executives to brainstorm and explore the best practices in encountering and reporting hate speech within the media space.
The Commission is concerned about the impact this can have on the future of the country and beyond, and it is imperative that we address this urgently.
Media have a special responsibility to promote understanding among communities and mutual respect for different beliefs and traditions.
So there are also expectations on the side of the media to also take action to address hate speech.
The engagement is expected to develop a policy advisory note, model guidance in ensuring a comprehensive approach in addressing challenges posed by hate speech, as well as highlighting the essential roles of the media. In Abuja, Umenka Mrachuku, NTA News.
To the judiciary now, where a federal high court sitting in Gusau has ordered the Nigeria police force and 4 other respondents involved in the seizure of vehicles and some other valuables from the residences of former Zamfara State Governor Bello Matoli to return them within 48 hours. The presiding judge, Justice Aminu Boppa, directed that all the confiscated property along with their comprehensive inventory be brought under the custody of the courts. The court also gives an interim order restraining the police and other respondents from taking any further step on the matter pending the hearing and the determination of the substantive motion filed by the former governor. The case is adjourned to 28th June 2023. It would be recalled that the police, along with its personnel of the DS and along with other personnel of the DSS and NSCDC, purportedly acting on a court order, had on the 9th of June 2023 conducted a search on 2 private residences of the immediate past governor of Zamfara State, located in Gusau and Maradun towns, and impounded some vehicles allegedly belonging to the state government. Benin is where we go next to join Agatha for more stories. It's over to you. Welcome to Benin. 24 elected members into the 8th Edo State House of Assembly have been inaugurated as Mr. Blessing Agbebaku, representing Owan West constituency, emerged as Speaker. Obehi Otoba Presai reports that the State Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, and other top functionaries witnessed the inauguration.
The clerk of the House, Yahya Omogbai, presided over the inauguration by taking the roll call, which confirmed the presence of all the 24 lawmakers. He also presented some documents confirming that the members have fulfilled all the necessary requirements and are therefore eligible to partake in the inauguration. The members-elect, who include 2 females and 22 males, later participated in the nomination of members for the position of Speaker and Deputy Speaker, which was conducted without rancor. In his acceptance speech, the Speaker says the needs of their constituents come first.
That as a team and with your support, we introduce strategy programs and innovations to both the 8th Assembly on the World South.
After plenary, the newly inaugurated lawmakers were received amidst joy by their supporters.
They have promises for our different constituents. Now we are on board. It's time for us to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people that voted us.
Out of the 24 lawmakers, 14 are of the PDP, 9 are APC, while 1 lawmaker is of the Labour Party. In the meantime, the State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, has met with the members of the newly inaugurated 8th Edo State House of Assembly and urged them to see integrity as ingredients for effective representation. In Benin, Obehi Otoba Presai, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Governor Godwin Obaseki has indicated his administration's readiness to continue to deepen partnership with the World Bank to sustain reforms initiated in the education sector over the past few years. This was when he received a delegation of World Bank executives who were in Government House on a mid-term review of their ongoing projects in Edo State. Elizabeth Omoko has the report.
The World Bank is much interested in the Edo Basic Education Sector Transformation, Edo Best Reform Program, which has countered a high number of ambassadors and people with poor education outcomes in search of skilled employment since 2018. The reason for the review.
In education in particular, the long term is critical, right? Because you can have an amazing reform for a couple of years, but in order to sustain the effects and to ensure that it brings economic development into the future.
For Governor Godwin Obaseki, Edo is utilizing its facilities to cascade reforms and development across a wider spectrum of the government.
We want to go to bed knowing that, okay, we've taken facilities from the bank that will be paid back by our children. I want to be able to explain to them what that funding was used for. So in 20, 30 years' time, as we pay this facility, we may or may not be here, but at least we can document and show what, how they have benefited from this facility.
The World Bank team will be in the state for some days to carry out phase 1 of the mid-term review of the Edo Best and Edo Skills Acquisition Program in the states. In Benin, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
That's our package. Nationwide moves to Enugu right after this break. Stay with us.
Good evening and thanks for joining us here in Enugu. Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabo has called on troops of Operation Udoka to tighten all loose ends and remain resilient towards ensuring the safety of the Southeast. The report.
The visit of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, to Enugu State is in tripartite form. First, to lend his weight behind the Governor of Enugu State, to have the first-hand interactions with troops of Operation Udoka, instituted to ensure security during the just concluded elections, and finally, to deliver a message from the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to the troops.
Now let me tell you that it's not over yet. We want to get to a stage where we would not like to hear that there is a single incident of insecurity. The likes that we had some months back, that has to stop completely.
Addressing troops of Operation Udoka, the Chief of Defense Staff commended the men for their unwavering commitment towards peace in the Southeast region, as according to him, the operational validation briefs received by him speak volumes of their conduct and urge them to sustain the tempo.
This visit is part of, the routine visit, operational visits, to look at what they are doing, and then to also use the opportunity to pay courtesy call on His Excellency the Governor of Enugu State, who had just assumed office, and to also let him know that we are proud of the bold statement that he made, which more or less is in sympathy, with our operational objective.
He said the operational engagements of the troops will soon be re-evaluated as a way of encouraging them.
Meanwhile, as a way of building civil-military relations, the Unkwego Military Cantonment, Abakaliki, has offered free medical services to residents of Ndufu Alike in Ikwo local government area of Ebonyi State. Ijoma Peter Wante reports that the initiative aligns with activities marking Operation Udoka, which is currently enforced in 6 states that make up the 82 division.
The elderly and the youths of Ndufa Alike Ikwo were all smiles as they assessed free medical services provided by Nkwego Military Cantonment as part of the activities embedded in Operation Udoka. The services included medical consultations, provisions of free drugs for malaria prevention and treatment, as well as distribution of treated mosquito nets, among others. The commanding officer, 24th Support Engineer Regiment, Nkwego Military Cantonment, Abakaliki, Lieutenant Colonel Sunday Atomode, explained that the Nigerian Army, apart from carrying out military operations, also maintain military-civilian relationship by executing various projects for the host community as part of its corporate social responsibility.
This is just to reassure the people that the Nigerian Army will always and will continue to work in support of the Nigerian people and the Nigerian nation.
Some of the beneficiaries lauded the initiative and urged the Nigerian Army to sustain it for the benefit of the less privileged.
We are very surprised when military came. We are very much happy for them to have deemed it necessary to partner with the local government.
I'm so happy. I'm here now with my nets, mosquito nets, and some drug they gave to these students. We suffer a lot here, the water, the weather, and everything. So I'm very grateful.
With this initiative, it is believed that civil-military relationship will not only be strengthened, but will help boost people's confidence on the military. From Ndufa Alike in Ikwo Council area, Ijoma Peter Wante, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. The news continues with Lami in Abuja.
Thank you, Mina. Content developments imbibing modern trends in broadcasting and sustainable service provision formed part of issues deliberated upon in a zonal meeting held at the NTA Maiduguri Network Center, bringing together general managers of Yola, Gombe and Damaturu stations. The meeting, last held about 30 years ago, was in line with the thinking of the new NTA management. Ijapari Joseph reports.
Provision of world-class content remained a key mandate of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, hence the new push in seeing that all the zonal centers and stations across the country keys into that. The meeting served as an avenue for cross-fertilization of ideas, progress recorded, challenges and the way forward. The host and zonal director, NTA Maiduguri Network Center, Muhammad Abubakar, described the meeting as a vehicle to actualize the new thinking in the NTA, where content is served efficiently all across areas of operation.
Whatever decision is going to be reached during the meeting, we are hoping, inshallah, it will impact the operations of not only the stations and network centers, but NTA in general.
The meeting reminded those in attendance the challenges posed by competitors, notably the social media, and the necessity to confront the challenge head-on by embracing the technology to bridge the gaps created. General managers of NTA Yola, Damaturu and Gombe took turns to give situation reports on their respective stations.
We are able to deliberate on how to move NTA forward. It was helpful and is enlightening.
It enabled us to join together, share experiences among ourselves. It will go a long way in promoting, productivity in the NTA general.
Similarly, heads of department at the Zonal Network Center briefed the zonal meeting on developments affecting their respective departments. In Maiduguri, Japari Joseph, NTA.
And the National Population Commission says the processes and systems for the 2023 population and housing census are being reviewed in order to ensure that preparation does not become obsolete. The Commission stated this at a stakeholder meeting in Ado-Ekiti. Olukemi Sani has details.
The Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission in Ekiti State, Ayodeji Ajayi, said that 70% of preparation for the census had been achieved before the postponement, while materials and devices to execute the process are intact and secured. The The commission, is said, has carried out all the preparatory activities such as enumeration area demarcation, conduct of pre-test and trial sensors, recruitment and training of census field staff, procurement and configuration of personal digital assistants, as well as establishment of ICT infrastructure across the country. He also stressed the readiness of personnel for the census if a new date of commencement is announced. The 2023 census, Ayodeji Ajayi said, will provide the needed data for the government on how to plan and respond to people's needs, as well as how to set the country on the path to sustainable development.
I wish to state that the Commission welcomes the decision of the federal government to postpone the conduct of the census, as it will give the incoming administration the opportunity to have input into the census process.
Stakeholders at the meeting promised their support to the Commission for a successful 2023 population and housing census in the country. Olukemi Sani, NTA News.
Nigeria can match a large GDP with corresponding economic growth rates with an effective manufacturing policy that utilizes artificial intelligence. The Nigerian Society of Engineers is now exploring this option to fast-track the nation's manufacturing objectives. Kelvin Iwunwaye reports.
Manufacturing is a vital driver of economic growth, employment and technological advancement. The growth of a country's manufacturing sector has a multiplier effect because as manufacturing grows, other industries will spring up to supply raw materials and other services. But the manufacturing sector in Nigeria has struggled to compete with low-cost imports, thereby contributing very little to the nation's GDP. This lecture series by the Nigerian Society of Engineers Maitama branch in honor of renowned engineer Otis Anyaji is a platform to explore how the application of artificial intelligence can help increase manufacturing output and reduce cost of production.
By adopting AI-driven solutions, we can overcome the traditional barriers and challenges while rapidly propelling our manufacturing sector to new heights.
The lecture also identified workforce reskilling as one way of ensuring no job loss in the process. In Abuja, Kelvin Iwunwaye, NTA News.
Up next is Sports Update.
Sierra Leone national football team is in a must-win situation against the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Liberia on Sunday. This explains 25-man team as announced by the coach of the side. Super Eagles handlers and the players are aware of this and possible qualification for the 2023 Nations Cup if result is positive.
We have to win to qualify to the next AFCON, so all of us know the 3 points is what we need.
Other matches slated for this weekend include Central African Republic against Angola, Zambia versus Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa will do battle with Morocco, among other matches. Similarly, Norway will trade tackles with Scotland, Belgium is up against Austria, while Iceland will entertain Slovakia in Euro 2024 qualification matches slated for Saturday. In tennis, the total prize money on offer at Wimbledon Tennis Odious Grand Slam Championship has increased to a record of $56.52 million this year. Organizers confirm that the total prize money for this year's championship increased by a record 11.2% compared to 2022. And on a pathetic note, the family of Nigerian former boxer and Olympian Jeremiah Okorodudu is soliciting the support of well-meaning Nigerians to save the life of the former international who has been ill for over 2 years. Popularly called Jerry, is a former African champion who represented Nigeria at 1984 Olympic Games in USA. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
And that concludes Nationwide. We thank you for watching. Have a good evening.